communicating, and in a sense the virulence, literally, of the commentary which is visited upon people in positions of leadership. In addition to that, if we look at the way that young people communicate today and the way they interact with each other, and if you are like me and have struggled, let's say, with the technology, to put it mildly, then when you see your own children, and even my little 9-year-old, engage with the new technology, you realize that youngsters are living in a world that I couldn't imagine when I was young, let alone my grandfather. And if you take, for example, what has been happening in Iran over these past couple of weeks, I mean, that is, in some senses, a dramatic consequence of the way today that people communicate and interact with each other and exchange views. And the chief characteristic of the world in which we live today is not simply its interdependence, though that is profound. There is that sense of interconnection in the world today, again, quite differently than before. It's also the speed, the pace at which things are communicated, and in which movements and ideas travel across the world, across national boundaries, across different cultures, never mind different countries. So when we talk about how we communicate as any institution or as any group of people, we're doing so in a world that is transformed, revolutionized, quite different from anything that has gone before. What are then the lessons that can be drawn for this? And I say this with a great deal of humility in any, well, certainly in any lessons that I draw or any predictions that I make about how the future will work. I was saying to Jeff last night that my eldest boy, when he graduated from Yale, was just about to graduate from Yale about 18 months ago, said to me, so what do you think I should do as a career? And I said to him, I think banking sounds a good idea. So I give that disclaimer right from the very outset. The lessons I draw are how I see it, but how I see it is not always how it should be seen. The first thing, though, I think is this. The one thing I learned about communication is that you cannot communicate anything unless you're clear about the direction of your own travel. Where are you going? What is it you're trying to do? And if that clarity is lacking, you can have the best communication specialists in the world, they're never going to overcome that problem. And if you look at in any walk of life, and you ask who is getting across a message, it is the people with a clarity of direction. A certainty that this is where they're trying to go, not necessarily always getting there, but certain as to where they intend and want to go. And that has to be done, and you have to keep on that path, irrespective of the brickbats that are coming at you from every direction, because that's the way it is. And the important thing is not to believe that you're ever going to get to your destination without the vehicle looking a trifle battered and rickety from time to time, but that you know, this is where I'm going, and I'm going to do my level best to get there. Mm-hmm. And so, for us, I hope as Christians and members of the Catholic Church, I mean, I think it's always important we return to what is the central purpose, which is to demonstrate God's love and compassion, to be in the service of other people. And that is what this church is about at its best, always has been and always will be. And interestingly, again, when you go back and you read the letters of St. Paul, then all the teaching, which is interesting and fascinating and generates great tomes of theology, all of that is important. But none of it ever obscures what draws people to the Christian faith and to God's path, which is the spirit of love and compassion and the sense of service to others. So that direction, if you like, for our church has always got to be expressed, and indeed, here is the thing, it can be expressed very simply in the work that this church does at a local level, at an international level, in countless different ways. There are people every day in virtually every corner of the world who are benefiting from that love, compassion, and sense of service. The second thing is, in a world of 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week media, and in a world too that is a world, frankly, without deference today, and that's in some senses a good thing, but in some senses it can easily tip into disrespect. But it's the world we live in, so there's no point in thinking, and this would be my second lesson, that we can hide away. We have to be out there, unafraid, or if afraid, undaunted. Still prepared to be out there. If there's a problem, we have to deal with it. And in the information age, which is the age we live in, we've got constantly to be out there and communicating and talking about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And that brings me to the third point, which is that I came to the conclusion in the end that perhaps this is different and more easy for people like yourselves in senior positions of leadership within the Catholic Church. I came to the conclusion in the end that the most important thing, obviously it was great if you had what you guys call the home run, but if that was beyond your grasp, at least strive for a balanced picture. Because there are going to be problems in today's world because people are human. Members of the church are human. Politicians are human. This comes as a shock. But it's true. So, in a transparent and open world, you're never, ever, ever going to get to the point where there aren't difficult things that we have to deal with. There are going to be. That's just the way it is. But you can strive for balance and saying, yes, I understand that and we deal with that, but remember this. And, you know, in the work, and one of the reasons I was actually drawn to this church, in the work that the Catholic Church does, caring for the sick, looking after the elderly, showing compassion for the people for whom most people don't show compassion. I remember visiting a program in the UK which the Catholic Church was running and was all about basically trying to rehabilitate those who committed serious criminal offences. Now, these were not the people about whom anything very good could be written. These were not people who lived good lives. These were not people in respect of whom the majority of society wanted to have any association with at all. But we know that one of the most important aspects of our Lord's teaching was that he was prepared to associate with the sinners and the worst of sinners and show mercy and compassion towards them. And I remember visiting this program, and there was the Catholic Church and the sisters who were caring and trying to help these people, and doing so with a selflessness that was absolutely remarkable, that was divine in its inspiration, if you like.